What's up with Silence to the Side? There was someone who commented on my agoraphobia video, the one called Will Exposure Make Agoraphobia Better or Worse? And pretty sure this person had good intentions. It's just that this is something that completely broke me when I was really struggling, and this is what led me to, thinking that suicide was the best option. And that is the belief that, or like not even the belief, but just when people say, you know what, people with anxiety don't realize is that they're gonna have this anxiety forever. There is anxiety won't disappear. It will be there, and you just have to learn to live with it. And that's a horrible thing to say. And the reason why this is a horrible thing to say is because I think when people say this, they haven't come near to experience the symptoms and the suffering of having a severe anxiety disorder. You can't say to someone with daily panic attacks that this is just going to be their life and they just have to learn to handle it and deal with it. Real recovery isn't about handling, coping, or to learning to live with it. That isn't real recovery. That is like telling an anorexic that they can continue restricting as long as they eat just enough to function. And that is not a life. That's quasi recovery. This is so important. This can be really well applied to anxiety disorders and depression recovery as well. That sort of like handling and coping and learning to live with is quasi recovery. It is not real recovery. There's a reason why a lot of patients, hopefully, or like that's the reason why they treat people with agoraphobia and panic disorder and OCD with something called ERP therapy, which is called exposure and prevention therapy. And it's about teaching the brain to not fire all the time. It's teaching the brain that it doesn't need to fire in certain situations. If you do this the right way, what will happen is that you will be able to say go back on the bus and you won't get an extreme reaction anymore. It's not about going into the situation and teaching yourself to grind your teeth throughout every bus ride for the rest of your life and be really severely unwell and nauseous and hot and dizzy. That's not what it's about. That is a way of coping and handling and learning to live with and almost accepting, but in the wrong way, that anxiety is just allowed to do that. And ERP therapy is about accepting that this is where you are right now. Because obviously, if you have agoraphobia, your brain will fire in, for example, a situation like being on the bus. And so that's about right now. Of course, I have a panic attack because I have not been able to feel relaxed on the bus for many, many months, for example. And then you keep doing the exposure, you keep testing your limits, you keep going out of your comfort zone structurally and gradually, and then your brain, not you as yourself, but your unconscious brain, the amygdala and all that, will learn that it doesn't need to fire as much. And eventually what this will lead to is that the panic attacks will go down. You won't have panic attacks in your sleep anymore. You won't have panic attacks on the daily. You won't have severe, extreme, bodily and mental reactions to taking the bus, going to a meeting friends, having to call the post office, Eventually you won't have those extreme reactions anymore. And of course, for a while, it's going to be lurking in the back. You're going to be like, what if I have a panic attack this time? I know the last 4 times went fine, but what if this time it goes wrong? And that's going to, of course, be lurking for a while, depending on your severity, how long you suffered. But please stop telling people that anxiety won't disappear. Of course, the normal, healthy anxiety that people experience that make them not jump off the buildings won't disappear, but that's not the same as really like bad, severely, anxiety disorder that's just common like a wrecking ball and ruin people's life. That will disappear with the right treatment, if you take care of yourself, maybe with the right medication, if that's what works for you. You just have to find your ways around or through. As Clary Wick say, you have to, pass through panic. On the other side of panic is where you find freedom. Like if you're walking through hell, for God's sake, don't stop walking And I love that quote so much. So I just want to tell you that because this July, when I came home from a holiday that had been, I've been like, you know, if you follow me on TikTok, you know that that's the time where I was on the boat and I had panic attack upon panic attack upon panic attack, and I had to leave early and just take the first bus we could get on home, and I had to go straight to hospital because I was so ill. And I don't know if I told you this, but when I got there, you know, I didn't talk to anyone. I was just crying, just sobbing constantly because I felt so unwell. This nurse said to me, we went on a walk and he said to me, I was already sobbing, you'll just have to learn to live with your anxiety because it will never pass. Your anxiety will never change. Like, it won't go away. You'll just have to learn to live with it. And I saw black. I saw black because he was telling me that for the rest of my life, I'd be hyperventilating, shaking, feeling nauseous, sweaty, having a fever feeling, being dissociated, feeling unreal, never be able to sleep or sleep too much, never be able to hold down a job, except for if I was strong, that was never going to be mine, you know, and it isn't true, you know, it isn't even true. At your most extremes, at your extremes of your anxiety, that's not how it's gonna be. That's not how it's gonna continue to be. It's an extreme version of your illness, and I am 100% sure that agoraphobia can be cured fully. That you can, you know, I'm 100% sure that you can fully recover from agoraphobia, and maybe it will be lurking in the back a little bit at some, you know, like, oh my god, am I really like, oh, am I really doing this? Am I flying alone to Prague? But not in the way that I'm like, no, it's not going to be like that for the rest of your life. You're not going to never be able to go for a walk again. You're not going to always have to suffocate going to the grocery store. You're not going to never be able to take the bus alone again. That's not going to be your life. And I'm sorry if anyone made you believe that. Panic disorder, agoraphobia, generalized anxiety disorder, it's not going to be forever. And especially panic disorder and agoraphobia, it's not forever. And sure, like, you can have relapses later in your life, as is what happened to me, if you have enough triggers or if you don't take care of yourself, but you can recover. And that's just the most important thing I want you to know. Not quasi recovery. You're not going to be in the words of, if you had a anorexia, you're not going to be an anorexic, always restricting, but just not enough, you know, enough to like get through the day, but not enough to really have a life. We're not doing quasi recovery. Not what I'm talking about. You're not going to just learn to live with your panic attacks and live with having OCD ruining your whole vacation, or just learn to live with the fact that you can never take the bus alone again, or never held down a job, or never sit with your friends and have a good time because the dread in your stomach is just too extreme. You can fully recover from anxiety disorders. Yeah, I think I made my point. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe. And if you were the one who left the comment, this wasn't intended towards you. It was just that I've heard it so much and I had to say something. Thanks for watching. Bye bye, everyone.